Alright, hello everyone, this is Mr. Crozier and I'm going to give you some help on page 137, problems 27 and 32. Well, we have this angle here of theta, and our job is to find the 6 output ratios for that. Again, this is our input, these are our outputs. And the first thing we want to do is draw this angle. It's a negative 5/3, and I've already have that on here, 5/3 pi. And it goes all the way to here, and it gives us this degree of 60 degrees, this angle of 60 degrees. And we know this point on the unit circle is 1/2 root 3, so that means it's over 1/2 and up root 3 over 2. And this line right here is the radius, and the radius on the unit circle is always 1. So we have these measurements, and now that we have those measurements, we can use them to find the ratios. And the first thing we need to do is write the names of the sides on here, and if this is theta, then this right next to it is the adjacent. And if this is theta, the hypotenuse is right here, and if this is theta, then the opposite is out here. And we can use those to find our trig ratios with this saying right here, SOHCAHTOA. The sine ratio, sine right here, is opposite divided by hypotenuse. The opposite divided by the hypotenuse, root 3 over 2. That's all we need to do. Now the cosine value would be the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Adjacent over the hypotenuse. 1/2 divided by 1 is just 1/2. And the last one is tangent. For tangent we do the opposite side, which is root 3 over 2, divided by the adjacent side, which is 1/2. We can fix this complex fraction by multiplying by 2, and we're left with root 3. So there's our first 3 trig functions. Now to find the other 3, all we do is take the reciprocal. We reverse it. Root 3 over 2 is 2 over root 3. Multiply by root 3, and we have 2 root 3 over 3. Reverse this one, we have 2 over 1, which is just 2. Reverse this one, we have 1 over root 3. Multiply it is root 3 over 3. Alright, and that's all this unit is about. It's about taking this input and finding these 6 output values. Draw your triangle, set up the measurements, and then follow this pattern. Alright, let's do another one. Problem 32 is 3 pi. Well, where is 3 pi? Well, 3 pi is 2 pi plus an extra pi. So I'm going to start here at 0, and I'm going to go around the circle once, and then go over to pi, which would be right here. So there's my triangle. But I can't make a triangle out of that. There's no way to make a triangle back to this angle, because it has to be sitting on this axis right here. There's no way to make a triangle. So we're just going to use our imagination and pretend we have a triangle that would be up like this, and then we can measure that one. Let's see here. This would be -1, because it's -1 over. The radius is always 1. And this opposite would be 0 if it were laying on this line down here. If it was laying down here, that would be 0. So we're just using our imagination here, and this is the adjacent value. And this is the hypotenuse, and this is the opposite out here. Alright, so let's go through and find our trig value using these numbers. What is the sine value? Well, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. 0 divided by 1 is just 0. And cosine value would be the adjacent over the hypotenuse, -1 over 1, which would be -1. Tangent would be the opposite over the adjacent, 0 over -1, which would be 0. So there's your outputs. And I want to show you can check these on the calculator. If we're in degree modes here, and we're doing the sine, that's 180 degrees, right? Sine of 180 degrees is 0. The cosine of 180 degrees is -1. The tangent of 180 degrees is 0. So you can always check them on a calculator. The other really good place to check them is Symbolab. You can type them in directly and you'll get these outputs. Your calculator won't do the radicals. Symbolab will. Alright, so let's do the cosine. Let's flip this, or the cosecant over here. Take the reciprocal, 1 over 0. Can't divide by 0, undefined. 1 over -1 is still -1. And -1 over 0 is undefined. Alright, so again, the way this works is you're given an input. Let's look at this. You're given this input. This is the input. And you're asked to find all 6 outputs. This input following these rules, 6 different rules to get 6 different outputs. Alright, I hope this helps.